Hi everyone and welcome to our series of Solidworks Model Mania in Fusion 360. And today we are going to model Year 2001 Challenge. Let's start off by creating a rectangle, and without heading up and selecting Create Sketch, I'm going to hit R for rectangle. Prompted to select a plane or planar face. Let's sketch on our XY plane. Left click. One of the best practices when modeling is to center your origin with respect to our geometry. So I'm going to Feature Options under Rectangle, and I'm going to select Center Rectangle. Let's drop our center point at the origin. Notice the dimension on my left is currently highlighted. With that in mind, we can key in 64. I'm going to hit Tab to cycle through, key in 96. Hitting Enter. And instead of selecting Finish Sketch, because my intent is to create an extrusion, I'm going to hit E right away. Profile selected. Let me pull this up, giving this a height. And on the 2D drawing, the height for this is 20. Operation New Body, and let's select OK. Moving forward, let's focus on this view and sketch this up. I'm going to hit L for line, and let's sketch on our YZ plane. And because this face is blocking my target selection, I'm going to left click and hold, and this drop down will appear, and my intent is to select YZ. Let me start off by creating a line here. Left click, and notice on our line command, we have an arc here. So that means we can create an arc within the line command. So with line command still active, I'm going to left click and hold. I'm still holding my left mouse button, release, and hold shift to activate the inferred tangent constraint. So notice that tangent symbol in blue color. Left click and hitting escape. Next, let's add constraints. I'm going to head up and select coincident. Let's select this endpoint and this corner. Let's hit L once more for line. Now this line will serve as the axis for the cylindrical feature here. So I'm going to left click. So notice the perpendicular inferred constraint. Double left click, hitting escape. Let me now hit D for dimension. Let's dimension this arc to 15. Select this line and this vertical line. Left click here. Let's key in 45 degrees, hitting enter. And if you prefer our view is similar to the drawing, we can head up to our view cube and select this curved arrow pointing to the left. Selecting this. With dimension tool active, I'm going to select this endpoint and this horizontal edge. Place our dimension here, key in 64. Select this endpoint and our origin. Place our dimension here, key in 146, hitting enter. I prefer to sketch out the cylinder here as well. So I'm going to hit escape to disable dimension. Let me move this here. Hit L for line. Create a line perpendicular. Left click. perpendicular once more, perpendicular, and let's close this by connecting this to this endpoint. Let's zoom in. I'm going to hit escape and add perpendicular constraint between this line and this line, holding control. With both of them selected, I'm going to right click and select perpendicular. Next, I'm going to hit D for dimension. Let's dimension this to 12. This line and this line to 32. Take note, I am sketching the half of the cylinder because my intent is to have this revolved. Next, let's select this line and this line because my intent is to create a diameter dimension. Once more, the key in creating a diameter dimension is to first select the center point or axis, the line, and right click, and from here we can select diameter dimension. Let's place the dimension here. This one should be 64. Repeat the procedure, selecting the center line, the extent or the radius of that cylinder, right click, select diameter dimension, placing our dimension here, and key in 52. Next, I prefer revolving this half of the cylinder only. I will not be including this portion. So I'm going to hit escape to escape from dimension tool. I'm going to hit S for sketch shortcuts to search for the command which is extend. I'm going to type in EX, selecting extend, and let me extend this line up to here. Selecting this, let me select a finish sketch. Moving forward, I prefer extruding these lines or these entities as a surface. So I'm going to head over to our surface tab, select extrude, and disable chaining, selecting this line, this arc, and this line. For direction, let's select symmetric. Let's pull this. And obviously in the drawing, the whole length should be the same with the diameter at 64 as well. And instead of keying in 64, I prefer our model to adapt and work smarter. I'm going to select OK for now and head back to our previous sketch, selecting this, right click, and let's edit this sketch. My intent here is to determine the dimension ID of diameter 64. So notice here it's D11. With that in mind, I'm going to select finish sketch, head to our timeline. Another method of editing a feature is to double left click. Under measurement, make sure it's whole length, and I'm going to type in D11. Operation U body, selecting OK. And notice as I select this edge, it registers having a length of 64. Same with our diameter. Next, let's give this surface a thickness. So I'm going to hit S for shortcuts, typing TH and selecting thicken. That faces would be this surface. Let me pull this, and on the drawing it registers as 12. Operation, let's have this to be join and hit OK. Moving forward, let's turn this as a full round. So recall, the diameter or this distance is 64. Let's now hit F for fillet, selecting this edge and this edge. And from here, we're going to type in the 11 once more and divide this by 2. Leaving the defaults and selecting OK. Let's now create the cylinder here. And we already have a sketch for that. So I'm going to head over to our sketches and turn on the visibility of sketch 2. Hit S and let's search for REV. Selecting revolve, the blue one. For the profile, selecting this rectangular profile. Activating the axis, left click, and let's select this line. For the operation, it should be join, and let's hit OK. Moving forward, let's create the feature here. Let me hit L once more, and let's sketch on YZ plane. Notice we are currently in the line command. Let me hit P for project, and under selection filter, make sure specified entities is enabled. Let me select this arc and select OK. Next, let's hit O for offset and select this arc. Move the slider to the left and key in 26 for the offset. Selecting OK, and let me turn off the visibility of body 1. Hitting L for line. Let's create a line from this arc, holding shift to make this tangent. Double left click. And on phase 2, this was elongated, so let me create a line here. Left click and hold to create an arc. Let's move over here. Release. Let's zoom out. And add constraints. So let me head up to coincident. Let me zoom in. Select this endpoint and this line, the endpoint of our arc, and this point. And finally, hit D for dimension. Let's dimension this arc to 55. Hitting enter. Let's create another line. My intent here is to have this as a profile. So notice I need a reference. So I'm going to hit escape. And instead of creating a projection and offsetting these entities, let me head back to line once more and simply create a line from here. Double left click. Create another line. Hitting escape. Let's make this perfectly horizontal with this selected. Right click, selecting horizontal. Create another line from here, holding shift for tangency, and the left click here. Hitting escape. So it turned into a profile. Let me now hit E for extrude. For profile, let's select this profile and turn on the visibility of body 1. For direction, selecting symmetric. I want this to be whole length. Let me pull this arrow to the right. Operation to be join. Once more for whole length, I'm going to key in 12. Selecting OK. Next, let's add the 2 holes here. And as a personal preference, let me go back in time to where we have created extrude 1. So I'm going to select our timeline marker, left click and hold, and move this after extrude 1, release. Let me zoom in, hit L for a line, and I'm going to sketch on this face. Let me create a horizontal line. Double left click or hit escape. Hit D for dimension. Key in 60. Hitting escape. Let's turn this horizontal line into a construction entity. And finally, select midpoint, selecting our horizontal line and our origin. Hitting escape, selecting finish sketch. Let's now grab our hole command, hitting H. For placement, selecting from sketch, multiple holes, selecting this endpoint and this endpoint. For extents, let's have the distance to all. Let's have this having a counter bore, tapped. Let's move this down. Thread type to be isometric profile, size to be 6. Designation M6 by 1. Class to be 6H, direction right hand. And I prefer the hole not to be modeled because this will only take up space and computing power. Let's head up, and for the counter bore diameter, I'm going to key in 11.2. Leaving the rest at their defaults, and for the depth, keying in 6. Selecting OK. And let's turn off the visibility of sketch 4. Let's move our marker to the end. I can pull this, or I can select move to end. Let me turn off the visibility of sketch 2 as well. Heading to home view. And just a personal preference, let me suppress hole for now. With hole selected, I'm going to right click and select suppress features. Because what I intend to do now is, heading to front view, hit F for fillet. And under select, I'm going to have my selection filters prioritizing body edges only. So I'm going to select all and select body edges. Moving to our model, I'm going to create a window selection and hold Control to deselect this edge, this edge, this edge. And for the radius, I'm going to type in 2. Selecting OK. And let's unsuppress, hold 2, right click, selecting unsuppress features. And finally hit H. For placement at point, single hole, let's select this face. Let's move this blue dot and snap this to this white dot. For distance, I want this to be all. Hole type to be simple. Hole tap type to be simple as well. And for diameter, let's key in 32. Inspecting. Selecting OK. Heading to home view. And for phase 2, let's head to our timeline and locate this sketch. Double left click. Let's change the value for 64, making this 45. For the angle, it will be 55. And let's select Finish Sketch. And here, this is a normal thing with this challenge. Let me suppress this once more, selecting this. Right click, suppress features. Suppress hole and hole 2. Right click, selecting suppress features. Heading to front view. Hit F for fillet. For select, let's have the filters to be body edges only. Creating a window selection. Holding control to deselect this edge, and this edge. Typing into and selecting OK. We can now unsuppress hole 3 and 2. Click with both of them selected. Right click, selecting unsuppress. And that's Solidworks Model Mania 2001 in Fusion 360. Thanks for watching.